Hello everyone, it's Ruby here today, and I thought that I would do the childhood book tag. I discovered this on Jesse the Reader's videos, and I believe it was created by his friend, so I will link both videos down below. Of course, it's about a year late, so I'm a little bit late to the game, but I figure I'll do it anyways. It seemed fairly interesting. And it sort of made me stretch my mind, because I don't generally think of books that I had read or had been read to as a child. So let's get started. What were your favorite books read to as a child? Why? This one was hard to really think of, but the one that came to mind almost instantly is The Keeper of the Isis Light by Monica Hughes. The reason I love this book is because I consider it to be fairly unique. It is about a 16-year-old girl and her guardian that live on Mars, and Mars just recently becomes colonized by a couple of other people, and her life basically becomes threatened. Her way of life becomes threatened. It is beautifully written, there is amazing detail, and it just kind of pulls you in. My father read this to me when I was about 9, so this was generally something that appealed to me at the time. Do you have any special memories or traditions associated with these books? I don't. I've had quite a few books read to me, and so they all seem to kind of be blending together. I know a lot of books were introduced to me, but I can't sort of single out what books were significant in what ways. I do remember my dad, I think, trying to read Homer to me when I was probably about 7 or 8, and needless to say, I did not understand it and he had to stop reading it. That's it. What were your favorite books or series that you're old enough to read? Why? So this was the first novel I ever read, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I absolutely loved it. I didn't quite understand it when I first started reading it, but it was definitely the gateway to the series, and I read it I think a year before the movie came out. I don't think that I really have to explain why I like Harry Potter. I think it's a lot of people's childhood series that they like. I picked this up, The Series of Unfortunate Events, A Bad Beginning, in a secondhand bookshop just before I was moving to a different city, and I instantly fell in love with it. It's a quirky, gothic sort of book that a lot of people have also read, and it doesn't treat you like a child. It treats you like you actually know what you're reading, which I absolutely loved as well. Lastly is Tamora Pierce. I remember finishing Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when I was 9 and asking my dad to get me a couple of fantasy novels or books that were like Harry Potter, and he picked up Tamora Pierce. Now this isn't the first book that I read by her, but for some reason this first series I read, because they're in quartets, I might have sold or otherwise have lost, so this is my favorite series that she's ever read, which is The Immortals. I just find her books really relatable. She has a lot of very interesting characters, and she puts a female take on the general fantasy world. What were your favorite book characters in these? Well, the reason that I showed you The Immortals is because my two favorite characters is Dane and Numair, which is the guy that she ends up with. Spoiler. Tamora Pierce is actually writing a series about him, which I'm super excited about, and I've been waiting about 10 years to actually read, so yay! And in Harry Potter, it was Snape. I've always liked Snape, and I always knew that he was innocent, just putting that out there. What was your favorite book in a childhood series? In Harry Potter, it was Order of the Phoenix. As you can tell, Order of the Phoenix has been well loved. This is the original book that I had. There's bookmarks everywhere. There are post-it notes, there are notes. I think there's even Cheese Whiz on this at some point, because I was eating it. I was eating the book. I was eating toast, I think, at the same time that I was reading this, because I wouldn't ever put this down. Did you ever dress up like one from your favorite books? I dress up like Hermione for Halloween, but I've always had a problem where I've always wanted to dress up like characters that I actually look like, and I haven't really been able to find a whole bunch. I think I'm just lazy though. Was there a movie adaptation of any of your childhood favorites? If so, did you like it? I sort of have a mixed view on the Harry Potter movies, just because Harry Potter was such a huge part of my life that to me I can easily see what things that they took out of the movies that were really important later on, or that were huge clues or foreshadowing. And she definitely put a lot of detail in there that I think wasn't really translated into the movies. But at the same time, they were movies, they had to sort of translate these huge 500-page books, and you're not always going to be able to do that, especially in Hollywood. And then the series of unfortunate events also did a movie, and it was just like a 3-part movie of the first 3 books. That sort of bombed. I didn't mind it, but they changed the ending like they tend to always do with Hollywood movies. And so it didn't really come across like it did in the books, and therefore I think it didn't do as well as it could have. I think it's a good standalone movie, and I'll watch it every once in a while just for shits and giggles, but it's not the best. I think that they should have done a mini-series, really, and had a 30-minute episode of each book, all 13 books. What can you do in hindsight, really? Have you read any children's series as an adult teen that you loved? If so, what were they? I will always go back to A Wizard of Earthsea. I think I first read it when I was 12, and then I had to analyze it when I was in grade 10, and then I think I reread it a couple of years ago as well. I think that this book has a lot of layers to it as well, where it plays with the hero's journey, so it is very obvious that there are journeys and heroes and villains associated with this book, but that she also put a lot of philosophy and a lot of different mythos in it that I think sort of give it a really cool complexity and keep me going back to this book. The other book is The Giver by Lois Lowry. I have a similar view to this as well. It is a very young book, but I feel like that doesn't take away from any of the complexity in this one either. It is a sort of utopian society where one person discovers knowledge and memories that have been kept from other characters in that society. And so I think that it's sort of enjoyable for all ages. This is also becoming a movie, and it looks absolutely horrible, just to keep you updated. So that was it for you guys. That was an insight into my childhood and the sort of books that I liked. Obviously you can see a running theme of fantasy. I might have had a fantasy kick there for a couple of years, but that was pretty fun to do. So I hope you guys liked this. You can subscribe, like, comment, share, do your thing, and I will of course have all of the links down below. I'll talk to you guys later.